All right, we got gigguk. He dropped this genre will replace Isekai. Let's see what gigguk is talking about.
Guys, I think I'm done with Isekai. At this point, I've seen it all. Isekai with power fantasy.
Text? No, I don't think I've ever heard of that in my life, Rick. The laws need some fixing, definitely. They definitely need some
economics,
fixing.
politics, using swords, smartphones, where the protagonist is reincarnated as a slime, vending machine, even a goddamn hot spring. For the longest time, Isekai was just my comfort food, something I could just turn my brain off and enjoy while using as few neurons as possible. Yeah, I knew it was unhealthy junk food, but sometimes you just want to indulge in something that feels familiar. But eventually, I've come to realize that as good as it tastes, eating too much McDonald's is detrimental to my health. So anyway, I started eating KFC. Regression is a very popular genre in Korean manhwa.
He's spitting, bro. Regression, bro. If you don't know about regression, bro, it is so powerful. Cause I'm a big webtoon reader, right? I'm a big webtoon reader. If I read as much manga as I read webtoons, I would probably be I'd probably be where most people are in terms of reading manga. But like a lot of webtoons do regression, bro, and I love it, bro. I wish anime does regression more, but you know, my webtoons, they're probably gonna start getting animated, so we'll probably see them in like the next 4 or 5 years. We'll probably see a lot of regression anime coming, but I love regression webtoons so much, bro.
Landfill dumpster rabbit hole I have once again fallen into. The genre is to manhwa what isekai is to anime and manga, and is about as equally detrimental to my health. Now, if you don't know what manhwa is, well, it's kinda like manga, except it's spelled like this. And it comes from Korea.
Yep.
And a lot of it is way worse than what you can find in manga.
Look at this dude.
But you know where that last point doesn't matter as much? Trashy power fantasy stories where the main character becomes OP for some contrived reason that I just can't help myself from consuming. Hi, my name's gigguk, and I have an addiction. This is a genre that hits all the same notes that got me addicted to Isekai in the first place, while feeling just different enough that it still feels fresh. Or, in other words, it might not be your OP protagonist in a fantasy world Isekai story, but you know what? It sure does smell awfully familiar. So, if you continually question your life choices like I do, but want something a little different to dive into other than the same Isekai-filled dumpster truck, allow me to introduce you to Regression. Because if you think your Isekai brain rot was as bad as it could get, allow me to show you that your dedication to trashy stories can go beyond a single genre, a single medium, and now beyond a single nation. But first, ad time. Before we continue, I'd like to...
We don't do those around here. Tried to give me. We'll wait. Alright, I don't know why this does this.
My long sessions. While the ROG intelligent cooling, keep the back that edits or even if you're in the now. So no action. And imagine a trope that feels awfully similar to what you get to see in Isekai, but instead of seeing someone getting transported to another world and living their fantasy there, the protagonist gets transported back in time to an earlier point in their lives with all the knowledge of future events intact. Sometimes it's a one-off leap, and sometimes they can regress back as many times as they want with certain conditions. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because, well, it's not exactly a concept we haven't seen before. Tokyo Revengers and Erased are basically a story about two different regressors, and hell, ReZero and Summertime Render's time loop is essentially just a regression mechanic. But now, we're just setting the bar too high. The big difference is a lot of regression manhwa tend to focus on the protagonist using their knowledge of the future as a sort of new game plus approach to their lives. Some use their knowledge to correct past mistakes in their lives or get a revenge of some sort. Most others use it to become really OP in whatever world they're in. Probably a fantasy world with video game elements. Like I said, different trash, same smell. So in that case, the first anime title that comes to mind is... Oh, this doesn't look good for me at all. But, like Isekai, there are a lot of regression titles out there. Some are the same copy-paste titles you've seen a million times before. Some actually use the core concept in different ways. So, with more manhwa not only getting adaptations, but becoming some of the most popular anime of the season, and some actual regression manhwa adaptations starting to sneak in through the cracks, like A Returner's Magic Should Be Special, I think this is a genre we are only going to see more of in the future. Alright, you've piqued my curiosity. So, where do I start? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. The original plan was that I was gonna run through a bunch of titles, then I realized halfway through writing about the 10th regression with a fantasy backdrop, video game-esque abilities, a dungeon crawling structure with a big mysterious tower to climb, my fucking mind was starting to regress back to pee-pee poo-poo age. So instead what I'm gonna do is just speed run through some titles in different categories and focus on a few that really stood out to me. This way I could show you some of my favorites and prove that not every regression manhwa is a fantasy series where the main character can regress and get super OP because of it. So, Let's start with fantasy manhwa, where the main character can regress and get super OP because of it. Look, it wouldn't be a proper introduction without starting off with a series like this, okay? Like looking at Isekai and seeing the same copy and paste Sword Art Online clones, going through manhwa can feel like reading 1,000 different iterations of solo leveling, except hey, this time the main character can also regress! Leveling with the gods is essentially just that exactly, but is one I actually think was executed half decently. The Swordmaster's son shows the rise of the youngest son in a family that's the equivalent of the Swordmaster version of the Zoldyck family. Kill the Hero details a good old revenge story where the protagonist levels up to kill the hero that originally killed him. Doombreaker, Volcanic Age, Infinite Level Up.
Wait. We're not gonna skip over Doombreaker like that. Doombreaker is fantastic, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Doombreaker is amazing. If you need to get into the regression manhwa scene, bro, tap into Doombreaker.
You would be sitting here to the end of One Piece. So the series I actually want to talk about is SSS Class Revival Hunter. Not to be confused with my S-Class Hunters, the SSS Rank Hunters Lucky Draw, Civil Servant Hunters S-Class Resignation Log, but is to be confused with SSS Class Suicide Hunter, which is the other name for the series. We're off to a fucking great start. Honestly, after seeing this title, I went into the series with half my brain turned off in fear that using over 10 neurons would hamper my enjoyment of it. But lo and behold, this had some of the most fantastic storytelling I could find in the genre, which is a fucking shocker because this is like having a light novel titled Reborn as the Weakest Mage that became the strongest dickhead thanks to his cheat skill in another world, and it turning out to be the Citizen Kane of Isekai. After a mysterious tower appears and people from all over the world gather to enter it and yada yada yada, you know how it goes. There are monsters on every floor, people get special skills when they enter, and anyone who tries to climb the floors and hunt the monsters are called hunters, like the Flame Emperor, the top ranked hunter. He has wealth, fame, power, and all that shit they say in the One Piece opening. Women want to be with him. Guys want to be him, which is exactly how our protagonist, Gongja, feels. A lowly F-ranked hunter whose only SSS class ability seems to be shitposting. He just like me for real. Out of nowhere though, the power grants him his first S-ranked ability, a power that allows him to copy any skill other people have. The catch? He can only copy the skills of anyone who kills him. And, oh, it only activates after he's already dead. Dejected at gaining a skill he'll never be able to use, he accidentally runs into the Flame Emperor and finds out that in person he is, how do I say this, a bit of a shit cunt. Gongja gets senselessly murdered by the dude, but as it turns out, the Flame Emperor has a skill that allows him to travel back in time exactly 24 hours every time he dies, which is the exact skill he needs not only to prevent his own death, but also make use of the one skill he has. Oh wow, would you look at that? What a coincidence. Who could have guessed this could ever happen? After waking up with his newfound powers, he decides to take revenge, so he travels back in time to a point before the Flame Emperor awoke his powers by offing himself 4,090 times. Yes, you heard that right. 4,090 times. This motherfucker unalived himself so much, he might as well change his pronouns to was/were.
Bro, this man giving what's his name? The main character from ReZero a run from his money, man. Subaru. He giving Subaru a run from his money. God damn.
But after taking revenge, the real meat of the story comes when he uses his newfound ability to climb floors, become one of the most respected hunters in the land, and uncover the secrets behind this mysterious tower. Alright, I'm gonna be real here. I know the plot synopsis makes this sound like the most generic, trashy regression manhwa you can find, because it absolutely is. At the beginning. But as you continue, you come to realize that this is not the generic trashy show you expected it to be. With a lot of these dungeon crawling manhwa, the formula is pretty set in stone. You go up floors, everyone encounters a progressively more powerful monster, everyone wonders how the hell we're going to defeat it, main character swoops in, saves the day, powers up. Hey, it worked for solo leveling, it can work another 10,000 other times, right? But what sets Revival Hunter apart is the level of world building and different clear conditions when it comes to every floor. Instead of feeling like a dungeon, each floor is more akin to a different world with its own people, conflict, and hardships. Every stage is so thematically different and presents a different philosophy that Gongja has to face, and he never comes out the same person as when he entered. On the surface, it seems obvious what needs to be done to clear each floor, but as you dig deeper in each world, you realize there is far more going on underneath. This is honestly more reminiscent to seeing Luffy travel to different islands and resolving the different conflicts he encounters. But where the regression comes in is seeing Gongja's unwavering commitment to giving each world the one thing he thinks every place deserves: a happy ending. And to do that, he will retry the floor as many times as he needs to get the conclusion he wants. While Subaru's out here learning in season 2 that maybe he shouldn't be relying on his return by death ability so much, Gongja saw one low tier god video and thought it was a Mr. Beast challenge. 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times optimizing every little path, getting a better understanding of every single person, spending more time to truly empathize with the struggles of every floor before coming up with his...
So basically this MC, he's like, bro, whatever it takes, bro. If I gotta kill myself 1,000,000 times to clear this world, it is what it is. It is what it is. He's doing it, bro. I respect it. I respect
own
it.
resolution. It's never about beating the final boss. It's about giving the characters in the world the closure they need, no matter how much suffering it takes to get there. If you have enough patience to get to floor 21, or the mirror mark of this story, you'll be able to see what makes this series special. This is where the series truly comes into its own, with some of the most beautiful storytelling I've seen in this genre. Normally with these videos, I like to save the best till last, but I'll just go out and say that this was my favorite regression manhwa I've ended up reading so far. I came in looking for trash and I somehow ended up finding gold, so if you're thinking about trying any of the titles I just mentioned, this should be it.
No, I don't agree, bro. I don't agree.
So if you're thinking
this should be it. Doombreaker, I'm trying to tell you, bro. Doombreaker is the one. Doombreaker is the one, bro. It's the
about
one.
trying any of the titles I just mentioned,
I'm
this
not gonna
should
go
be
into a
it.
deep dive,
Whoa, gigguk! I thought we were trying to get off Isekai. What if I don't want another fantasy show with video game mechanics? Isn't there anything more realistic? I mean, sure, let's be real here. The first thing I'd do if I was able to regress back with my knowledge intact is maybe buy a Bitcoin, invest in some Apple stocks. Tell Justin Wong, don't do it!
Like
He's capable of parrying the super! Well, don't worry.
I already know which one he's about to talk about. There is a regression anime where a dude does go back and buy a bunch of stocks, and I've read it.
There's a manhwa for that, except the Justin Wong thing. That was a joke. I would never deprive gamers of the greatest moment in esports history. Past Life Returner is there if you want a series about a guy regressing back and getting rich through hedge funds and financial investments. Medical Return takes the regression formula and puts it into a medical drama, with a doctor regressing back to fast track his medical career.
But you know, like, he's only selfless because he knows he can come back. Like, if you know you can go back in time as many times as you want, like, would you not be selfless? Like, you know, you have the ability to change lives at that point. You know, like, you would try your best to help the people around you. At least I would think so. You know, if I was in that position, I would. Like, you know, especially, like, yeah, I feel like
while making every other doctor look like a dumbass. To be an actor does this even better in my opinion, except with a successful actor rising up even faster to stardom again if that one arc in Oshinoko wasn't enough to get your fix. But for a grounded regression drama, I very much enjoyed A Man's Man. Samsung, I mean...
See, trauma, not all people react the same to the same events. That is very true. That is very true.
Hansung, one of the biggest technology companies in Korea, has just appointed their youngest ever CEO, Yoo Yeon-hung. He has it all. Power, fame, fortune, and all that shit they say in the One Piece. Except one problem. No one he cares about gives a shit. Hated by almost everyone he's worked with after he's betrayed and backstabbed his way to the top, his wife leaves him on the day of his promotion, and to top it all off, he finds out that one of his closest ex-co-workers has just committed Jump King. So, is there really anything to celebrate about? Alone and despised, he turns to his last remaining friend. A good old bottle of Jack, baby. Yeah, that'll never betray me. Except it does. And he dies. Corporate drama with a regression twist. And while you might be able to guess how this all plays out, the first thing that stood out to me about A Man's Man is just exactly what the protagonist's regression abilities are used for. Of course, with the company's future CEO with all the knowledge he has, starting from ground zero again, you know what to expect. He's gonna climb the ladder even faster, play the company politics perfectly to a T, expose all the people who were a thorn in the time he was there, and everyone around him is left dick in hand wondering how the hell a young upstart can play the corporate game so well. But while many regression manhwa focus solely on the protagonist finding success in whatever field they're in, Yoo Yeon's energy is put into making sure his entire team finds success and rising up together. He makes sure his co-workers are equally seen, ensures that the actual people doing the hard work are the ones that get the recognition and not the loudmouth bosses standing above them. This isn't a story about a man who gained success. This is a story of a man who already found success but regrets the way he got there. In a sense, there wasn't a single person responsible for the thorny path he took in his first life, but it was the result of the highly toxic work culture that the company had fostered for itself, and it's that culture that Yoo Yeon is really fighting against, not by completely destroying the company, but changing it from within. Yes, this is a power fantasy, but it is a power fantasy for anyone who's ever worked in a big corporation where you feel absolutely insignificant and sometimes daydream to yourself, fuck me, if I was in charge, I'd be able to get rid of all these rotten parts I have to deal with on a daily basis, humble some of these overconfident, useless managers who don't seem to do anything and actually run a tight ship. Put that in a setting of working in a massive electronics company with their team specializing in working for developing screens for electronic devices, right before the era where some fruit company announces this phone that you can control purely through touch, and that probably won't be relevant or anything, and you got yourself a pretty fun read. But sometimes, after reading a bunch of manhwa, you encounter a title that doesn't really belong in any category you usually see, but still goes bloody hard, like the next series, Chosu Saves the World. What would you do if you knew the end of the world was coming? Would you let it happen, make the most of the time you have left and live your best life, or would you do everything in your power to prevent it? On Earth's final day, Chosu bears witness to a
it just matters, like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about, a galactic monster coming out of nowhere and just swallowing Earth? Because if that's the case, there's nothing I can do. I'm about to take my ass to sleep, and it's just about to be it. Like, there's nothing I can do. But, I mean, if it's something preventable, then, like, I'm going to try to prevent it.
Giant asteroid plummeting towards our planet. Scientific organizations detected the massive rock far too late and miscalculated it to be a near miss. All attempts to destroy or divert the thing have failed. As just a normal Korean office worker, Chosu, like many other people, was completely powerless to stop this fate. And all he can do is crack open one last cold one and give one final toast as he watches the world come to an end. But we all know this is a regression story where the end is just the beginning of the end. Again, Chosu wakes up decades earlier as a kid. No mentions of any asteroid, no one panicking at the end of the world, just one lone boy armed.
If you regress decades after, bro, in this story, well, you better spend every last ounce of your time at becoming a goddamn world-class scientist, bro.
With
he could become a billionaire and make his own company and then blast that bitch when it comes, and then he'll become a hero. Just like
2000
that,
or Microsoft Windows 2000. Oh, we're doomed. With his knowledge alone of Earth's inevitable fate, he gathers his strength, looks up to the sky, and goes, "Oh, that asteroid's going down. I don't want to close my eyes. I wish it was that epic." Chosu saves the world, takes the sometime render approach. He tries to save the world, fails, and every time he does, he wakes up 3 months past where he woke up on his previous attempt.
How do you fail? How do you fail? I'm not gonna lie. This is actually preventable. This is nothing crazy. This is an asteroid coming out of the sky. You know, maybe you're not a genius. You know, maybe you failed the first time. That's withstandable. But it's like, come on, bro. This is actually preventable.
But I feel like this would make me mad. Each loop is not days or weeks, but are decade-long attempts to explore the question of, is it realistically possible for a single person to save the world? Which, if you think about it, is pretty damn difficult. You might know an asteroid is coming to hit Earth, but what the fuck can you do? You're the only one who does, and you're just a bloody kid. The rest of the kids around you have just graduated.
I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do. This is what Hezzy does, right? There's something called Bitcoin, you know, right? I might have been like 14 when Bitcoin came out. But I'm telling you, I'm doing whatever I gotta do, boy. I'm in whatever job that allows me to be in there working. And I'm getting to that money. And as soon as Bitcoin come out, I'm buying all that shit. And 8 years later, I'm about to be a billionaire and I'm about to build a missile launching whatever. I'm gonna call me Elon. How we about to send shit up into space, and that asteroid's going down. Dead ass.
Graduated from shitting their pants phase to eating boogers phase. Even if you have decades, what is the right approach to take to correct the course of history? Let's say you want to warn NASA super early that there's an asteroid coming. Well, you're just a fucking nobody who sounds like your run-of-the-mill crazy person who watched 2012 once and thought it was a documentary. Plus, they've already detected it before and thought it was going to be a near miss, remember? Do you really think they're going to take your word over their own scientific minds? Tough luck, kid. Go back to shitting your pants. Alright, well, I have decades, so how about I study astronomy and get myself into a position where I can develop anti-asteroid technology as early as possible so we'll be ready when that asteroid gets detected. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. But this raises a different issue. How do you get into a position influential enough where you can do such a thing? Where the hell are you going to get funding to pursue a project that will seem totally irrelevant until it's too late? Shall I hit up Daddy Elon to pump all his money into this instead of buying some bird website? Maybe I can convince Coffee and enthusiasts to use a percentage of their enthusiasm for developing a better cup of coffee into developing tech that could save humanity.
There's some
and brew a cup of coffee. Loop after loop, layers get added to the plan, more problems arise that need to be overcome, time gets wasted specking into the wrong tech tree. Maybe you find out that a solution is theoretically possible, but you need to influence the technology infrastructure first to make it viable. This hits a grounded sci-fi drama itch I haven't felt since watching The Martian. Add in Armageddon with a little sprinkle of Steins Gate, and you have a title I finished in a single night. If you can keep your suspension of disbelief in check, especially in season 2, and buy into this fact that every single influential person humanity ever needed is conveniently placed in this one school, then for the most part this was an absolutely gripping and grounded exploration of what could happen if we needed to advance our space exploration infrastructure, especially when real-life proposed solutions I could find for stopping an asteroid go something like,
how about this? The laser bees.
Oh, what's this? An asteroid is on its way to destroy all life on Earth? Send out the laser bees! That pretty much sums up my introduction to regression manhwa. There is one more title I was planning to talk about that's not technically regression, but definitely takes the core appeal and spins it into its own unique thing that I feel has the potential to be the next big thing after solo leveling, but, you know, I think that deserves a video on its own. So, until then, I'm going to take a break.
We watching that video. Gigguk, when that video dropping, I'm watching. You talking to someone who's caught up to the latest chapter? I think that bitch came out last night, or maybe 2 nights ago. Don't worry, I'm caught up to it though.
From my Isekai and regression brain rot for real this time, and start diving into some good, critically acclaimed anime again. What's this? Cultivation manhwa from China? Oh no.
Let's get it. I'm gonna pray for you, bro. You're deep in the trenches, man. You're deep in the webtoon trenches, Gigguk. I've been there. I'm there myself. I'm gonna pray for you. So you like the video? You'll like this one too. Go ahead and click on that. Yeah. You're still here? So you don't fuck with me? Alright, I'ma just.